Strive and the Undercurrent, Student Leadership on Campus, with Margaret Malewski. Objectivist Summer Conference, 2016.
All right, well, let's get started. Welcome, everybody. I'm glad to see you all here. And I can see that some of you have already gotten your Capitalist and Proud t-shirts, which is pretty awesome. I hope that tomorrow on July 4th, you'll all wear your t-shirts, and we'll just take over the whole conference with, the Capitalist and Proud red on the occasion of July 4th. I think that would be fun. Today we're going to do three things. We're going to introduce Strive's mission and Strive's primary audience. And then we're going to report on what we've achieved in the past year. Strive was founded in March 2015, so it's been about 15 months, so there's stuff to report on. And talk to you guys about 2016, 2017 plans. And at that point, we'll invite Jennifer, Sydney, and Grant to also speak on stage as the student leaders for Strive. So that's the program for today. So let's start out with Strive's mission, because I think this is very important since it's what inspires us and motivates us. I'll read it out first and then give you some perspective on it. So to provide students with tools that help them develop into young people with a clear, first-handed purpose in their own lives and a moral certainty about their right to pursue it. So let's unpack that a little bit. Why is the first thing we talk about purpose? Our belief at Strive breaks down into two things. One is, as a student, your main consideration, or the main question you're thinking about, is what am I going to do with the rest of my life? This is really a time when you're setting your purpose. So it's a timely question for you. And the second part is, I think purpose is a very core part of objectivism. There's a lot of very advanced concepts. There's a lot of advanced philosophy that you can learn about. But essentially, the first thing I recognize in a person I meet is, are they someone who's purposeful? Are they someone who's value pursuing? Are they someone who's value creating? And generally, I find I can have a very good conversation with someone who shares those values. Those are in some way essential to being a happy, productive human being. I mean, productive already implies purpose. And so that's why we talk about purpose at Strive. One, it's very timely, as in the sense of your life. And two, it's very core to objectivism. It leads to a lot of the good ideas in objectivism. And what does it mean to have a moral certainty? I think you guys, as students, have all experienced this on campus. How many of you have heard your fellow students proudly say, I'm studying business and I think I'm moral? Somehow I'm not seeing hands going up. Or I plan to extract fossil fuels from the earth and I'm moral. Or I plan to be, a TV executive or a scientist researching GMOs, and I think this is a good thing. I think the purpose of my life is moral. On the other hand, how many of you hear that, oh, I need to go save the world to be moral? Any hands on that one? Right. And so I think it's really important to understand why the core thing that you're going to be doing with your life is a good thing. Otherwise, you're really shooting yourself in the foot. You're investing 4 years to study, and yet you don't think you're doing a good thing. I mean, that's a terrible burden to carry. And so we want to talk about this, what's the framework of ideas that can put your goals in a context and show how they're moral? And this is important. And what does our mission look like in reality? What is our goal? And there's a few examples I can give you about that. Very concretely, Strive was founded 15 years ago as the Undercurrent by a group of young people who created a campus publication and who were, writers, contributors, editors, and now they're business leaders. They own businesses. They're philosophers. They're professors. And so one output that we want is to see this flourishing, right, for the ideas that you learn while you're at Strive to help you achieve your professional goals, to network you together, and to make you an effective ambassador for the ideas that we represent in your work in whatever capacity. Another example recently that really stood out for me, and I don't know, you might be familiar with this or not, Tim Cook took a very strong stand when there was the issue of him cracking the iPhone code. And he said, listen, no, if I do this, you're going to access all the information on all iPhones worldwide. And it was a great personal risk for him to take that stand, right? I mean, the stock price could have plummeted. He himself could have suffered some personal consequences as a result. And yet, on principle, he said, no, I will not do this because I understand how this could lead to bad consequences, and it's not something I care to do. That's an aspect of moral certainty, and that's a way in which moral certainty helped him make a very difficult decision in his career and impacted a lot of people. It impacted the employees of Apple. It made big headlines. And so that's a way in which, even if you're not necessarily a liberty activist, your moral certainty can have an impact on others. And so that's why these are the two key aspects of Strive. Your purpose, what do you want to do with your life to achieve your happiness? And what's the moral framework around that? Those are the main things that we want to help you develop. So who do we speak to at Strive? What is our audience? And the main thing that we look for, the main characteristic is people who have a sense of purpose, who want to find that purpose. You don't have to know exactly what it is you want, but there's that desire to do something value added. And wants to create and trade values. You want to create more value than you consume. You want to exchange values with others in a win-win way. And I find I can have a good conversation with people who have that attitude. And one thing that I think is also interesting is we have a lot of potential with people who don't have previous philosophical ideas. I think in the past, as a movement, we've reached out to people who, let's say, are libertarians, and we're trying to convince them to be objectivists. We try to reach out to students of political science or international relations or philosophy who already have very developed views and persuade them of ours. Another approach is to find people who want to be purposeful and value creating and maybe don't have a strong set of ideas and equip them with those ideas, equip them with frameworks. So seeking frameworks, people who want a way to think about their lives, those are good candidates to reach out to as part of Strive. So let's see if video works in the PowerPoint. Okay. So the first thing I want to share with you is what we did from March 2015 to September 2015. That early phase, we recruited a number of objectivist student leaders, and we worked with them to create the Strive programming, to create the ideas that were going to be at the basis of Strive. So the mission statement that you saw was not created just by me. It was created by us as a result of discussions, workshops, and so on. So we have a short video that I'd like to share with you about what that journey was like. It all began when the Undercurrent leadership set a goal to create a network of enduring campus clubs inspired by objectivism. Our clubs had to be more than just a place to discuss philosophy. They had to have a meaningful role in students' lives. In March 2015, we began by identifying and recruiting strong student leaders who could help us design a new kind of club that we could grow into a nationwide student movement. We met our new student leaders for the first time in St. Louis in May 2015, and our first task was to brainstorm what our clubs would be about and the kind of students we wanted to attract. We kept talking about students who strive to achieve the best possible to them in their work, their friendships, and their hobbies. And then we got it from a student's fridge magnets, which paraphrased a quote of Ayn Rand's. She said, "Do not let the hero in your soul perish." We are the place for students who want the hero in their soul to grow and to thrive. We worked hard that weekend, laying the plans for the future clubs. Then we played hard, setting a precedent for a club culture. We met again in Hoboken to develop the workshops that would become the main outreach mechanism for our clubs. Our first idea was creating a life you love, which has since become the Purpose Workshop, which we are currently running on campus. We also took some time that weekend to enjoy the magnificent views of New York across the river, and, true to our play hard culture, we headed into the city for dinner. We met again at OCON, the Objectivist Summer Conference, where we were selecting the content that we thought would be the best introduction to RAND's ideas for our club members. Then we celebrated Independence Day. In 2 short months, the student leader team was ready to speak at OCON, enlisting new donors and supporters for our vision. And soon they became the new faces of the Objectivist student movement. We met again in New Orleans to learn from our editors about what it takes to write for The Undercurrent, our campus publication. And we also practiced tabling skills for the upcoming launch of our clubs on campus. During that meeting, we decided that we needed to rebrand our clubs. We felt we were no longer an undercurrent. Instead, we became Students for Reason, Individualism, Value Pursuit, and Enterprise, or STRIVE, as you see us today. And here we are, ready to go on campus. We tabled at University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, and at University of Arizona in Tucson, and at American University in Washington, D.C., and got over 150 signups overall. After a strong campus launch, we got together to start planning for StriveCon, and to practice our new purpose workshop on a focus group before launching it on campuses nationwide. We ran the workshops on campus, and Jennifer got 14 participants on her first attempt. All the feedback was really positive. Students were excited to have an opportunity to talk about their college purpose. Our October meeting was devoted to more StriveCon prep, and to practicing the new workshop we developed on relationships as trades with a focus group. So that's the journey we've been on as student leaders, creating Strive clubs and preparing StriveCon. Our next stop is Miami, Florida in January 2016 to train the next generation of Strive student leaders. The question is, are you going to join us in Miami? So this was a video that we first aired at StriveCon in November of last year, and the Miami training was the first training for 8 new club leaders in January 2016. So that gives you a little bit of a historical overview of what happened. So what were our results in the academic year 2015-2016? We launched 8 clubs. We hosted a fantastic conference in Atlanta. We started an online mentorship program. We published 2 issues of The Undercurrent. We launched the Capitalist and Proud initiative. And we did a lot of networking with other organizations, which helped us increase our impact beyond what we could reach ourselves. So I'll tell you quickly about this. So this is the map of where we have Objectivist and Strive clubs. The main things that the clubs achieve are an increased engagement and understanding of objectivism. Now, it's very important to say that the club's purpose is not to get people to agree with objectivism, but to engage and understand it. So we welcome people from various perspectives, and one of the things that made me the proudest this year is when some club members mentioned that this was their first true experience of a safe space on campus, and safe space in the best way of the word, where they could actually exchange their ideas and their views that were controversial or not typical, and actually work through them and exchange ideas. And I think that's a really important principle for our clubs. Other core principles is the clubs help us develop leadership and activism skills, communication and writing skills, and there's the opportunity to connect nationally through the conferences that we host. These are some highlights from StriveCon. It took place in Atlanta from November 6th to 8th. 2015. The theme was the morality of value creation and trade. Now, why did we not say just the morality of capitalism? We wanted to focus on the action, this action of creating values. And we had a unique approach to the structure of the conference. On the one hand, we featured very successful objectivist business people and thinkers. So we wanted to celebrate success and show what benefits and happiness the achievement of our values can result in. On the other hand, we had philosophers who provided the frameworks, the intellectual toolkit that you need to think through these issues in your life, to provide the morality of capitalism. And sort of in between, we had skills development workshops. So everything from how to write a resume to how to foster your motivation and become an effective a value creator, or how to pick a career you love. So it was everything from rolling up your sleeves and sort of hands-on workshops to the big ideas that fuel capitalism and to celebration of success when it takes place. And it was an unusual format, but I think it worked very well. We had 120 students, and we had something like 20 speakers and another 20 mentors. We had professionals who came from all walks of life to spend time with students and to talk about what it is to be purposeful, to talk about different career options and help students choose the path that's right for them. So it was a really exciting event, and we were very proud of it. Another program that we launched earlier this year was the mentorship program. These are some of the mentors that we've had. Every 1, 2, or 3 weeks, we've had a mentor hold a webinar and share his or her experience of the professional life. Now, how is mentoring connected to purpose? My personal view is it's as follows. Imagine that you're born to a family of doctors, and all you've really been exposed to as a career is medicine by your parents' friends and the environment you grew up in. So you're very likely to consider a career in medicine for yourself because it's what you're most familiar with. But it's entirely possible that your natural inclination lies to the arts or to engineering or to something completely different. And it's very hard to make a career choice, to choose that first-handed purpose that's going to motivate you for the rest of your life when you have no information about it. Sometimes it's a big leap into the unknown, and that's why we featured Philip Daimler, the juggler, because he reached a point in his career where he decided he didn't want to continue doing what he was doing, and he wanted to become a juggler. He really enjoyed juggling. And he shared the experience of the training he had to do, the physical fitness he had to have, the music he had to research, the choreography he had to plan, the market he had to identify, the marketing. So, you might think that, oh, juggling can't be a real career, whereas in fact, anything that you undertake can be a serious and viable career if it's something that you invest in. But if you tell your parents, hey, I want to become a juggler, it's probably not going to be a hit. So you need to have this mentorship process so you can learn the facts of what you want to undertake. And if you understand what's involved and how to get there, then it becomes a more reasonable choice. And that's why the mentorship program really fits very closely with what Strive is trying to achieve. It also has another benefit, which is it connects you guys with active professionals who could potentially give you a job, and it brings them in to meet with you guys and to be inspired by you. And it gives them a role in the objectivist movement. So it's a really nice synergistic type of program. We've also had a big achievement in the 2 TU print issues. We had a new editor-in-chief this year. His name was Josh Wyndham. This was a big transition from Ben Bayer, who had been our editor for 10 years, to Josh Wyndham, who is a third-year law student. It was a very successful transition. Josh brought a bit of a new vision to TU. We focused on some articles celebrating individual achievement and success, which is why you see that cover, Triumph Over Tragedy. And we also published an issue on how we can have a more constructive campus discourse. I think we've all experienced that discourse on campus has become very intense these days, and how can we talk more positively about the issues that we're facing. And you can get copies of these in the registration area. Another initiative that we did, which worked very well, is the Capitalist and Proud initiative. The Ayn Rand Institute had a $1,000 campus essay writing contest, and it was broadly directed to all students on all topics. Josh Wyndham, our editor-in-chief, came up with the Capitalist and Proud hashtag as a kind of way of pushing back against Feel the Burn and all the socialist messages on campus. And he came up with the idea of students writing op-eds to their campus papers on this topic. And of course, not all campus papers will publish such an op-ed, but we said that if it's well written, we will publish it in TU. And as a result, your op-ed will be entered in the $1,000 contest. And so one of the students who participated in this actually won this prize. So it was a very successful initiative for us last year. And finally, another achievement that I think we've had is we've started working with a lot of different organizations. The Ayn Rand Institute was absolutely key in creating StriveCon. They provided a lot of the student scholarships and opportunities for students to participate. The Leadership Institute has great campus activism training. They have a team of field reps that are essentially paid to go start conservative clubs on campus. And they're happy to start Strive clubs on campus and find students who are interested in objectivism on campus. They can come to your campus and help you table and help you advertise your club. So they'll actually stand there with you for hours until you get a list of signups and find new members for your club. Great resource for us as we start clubs next year. The Foundation for Economic Education gave us great customer research. The Atlas Network has offered us mentoring and grants. The Koch Foundation paid for our speakers at the conference, and the Ed Snyder Center for Enterprise and Markets hosted one of our trainings. So the things we were able to achieve on our own were less than what we were able to achieve by working in these ways with these organizations. So those were some of the achievements of 2015 and 2016. We built a great leadership team. We delivered some innovative projects. We created a great community of students, and you guys are part of that. And we learned to sort of maximize our impact by working with some other organizations. So what's our goal for next year? Because this is why you guys are here. You want to find out how you can participate in Strive. So we want to deliver our mission of developing purposeful and morally certain young people by doing it through students and young professionals. So our goal for next year is no longer to have a paid adult running things, but to hand over the leadership to the student executive and to potentially you as student leaders of the campus clubs. So there's a great opportunity for you guys to step up and take a leadership role. We want to focus on the initiatives that gave us the biggest return on our investment. Some things require a lot of work and give little return. Some initiatives, you put in little work and you get a great return. So we've shortened the list of things we do to those most effective for us. And we'll also strive to maximize the partnerships that we can engage in to increase our impact. So, who are the key players in each of these things? The first program that we're going to focus on is the mentorship program. Sarah Silverman, who's unfortunately absent today, is the VP of Mentoring, and she works closely with Sydney on marketing. The other thing that we're going to focus on this year is the Undercurrent and the Capitalist and Proud initiative. We are going to have another iteration of the Capitalist and Proud contest. And finally, we're going to focus on Strive clubs. So now I'll invite some of the students to also tell you about what these initiatives are going to involve. So Sydney, if you'd like to come up and speak.
All right. Hey, guys. So I just wanted to share with you a little bit about my experience with the mentoring program and then also what we have planned for moving forward. So for me, there have been two things that have really stood out to me from my experience in the mentorship program. Every person that I speak to is more excited than the next to be participating in this. So when I speak with the mentors, it's something that they're really passionate about doing, and when I interview them before we host our Q&As, they start talking with me about me and what I'm doing in school and ask me about what my plans are, and then they chime in with their experiences and their advice. And so it's something that they're doing not out of a sense of obligation, but actually from a place of real interest and passion. And so that's been very interesting for me. Not quite the experience that I had on my college campus, where not every professor is as excited to talk with their students. And the second thing that I noticed is that in every Q&A, there's something, if not many things, that are really incredibly valuable and that translate across all different sorts of fields. So when we had our Q&A with Philip, the professional juggler, I don't think most of the students who tuned in were looking into juggling as a career. That said, there were lots of things that Philip said that directly applied to things that these students were actually considering. He talked about the importance of hard work, and this is of course relevant to whatever industry it is or career it is that you're looking to have. And so that's kind of held true across every different Q&A that we've had, and it's something that for me, when I'm thinking about how to market these events especially, we're not just looking to get students who want this exact job or want to exactly replicate this mentor's career. We're looking for students who are intellectually curious, who are interested in finding their purpose and achieving it, who want to be productive members of society. And these mentors are really great examples of that are really, really inspiring. And whether or not you're even remotely considering the field that they're involved in, there's something that they have to say that will definitely resonate with you and be able to shape a decision you may be making in the near future. So those are two things that I've found really, really amazing about this program. Moving forward, we have some exciting plans. So we're looking to branch out and do 2 different types of mentoring from now on. So we'll have one-on-one mentoring, and that's where we're going to match an interested student with a professional. And when we say an interested student, we mean lots of different types. This could be a student who says, I want to be in this career, in this field, and I want to speak with somebody who's having that experience. Or it could be a student who's saying, I don't feel like I'm reaching my purpose. I feel like I don't have direction. I just want to talk with somebody who might have insight or who might have experienced the same thing of feeling confused or not sure where to go. So this can be sort of specific career advice, or it could also be life advice in helping you to find your purpose. And what I think is really unique about this is that it's the opportunity for students to say, here's what I'm looking for, and then we'll find somebody who we can match you with that can deliver that. The second type of mentoring that we're going to offer is a monthly webinar that's going to be a Q&A with a different professional each month. And these will be student moderated, and we're going to ask questions of these mentors that are student submitted. So that's an opportunity for you guys to go right onto our Facebook page and just post a question for that mentor, for that professional. And then we're going to make sure that it gets asked and it gets answered. So this is a really, yeah. Oh.
You guys ever have lawyers on there?
Repeat the question.
Oh, have we had lawyers? Yes, we definitely have. We had Adam Mosoff, who is a professor of law, and then we've also had actual lawyers in the field. And so we're doing, I guess, each time will be definitely like a different professional in a different field, but we're looking to touch on all different areas. It's not like it's going to be focused specifically on one type of industry or anything like that. So this is the opportunity for students to say either I'm kind of considering this field, but I have a lot of questions about it, and then they can submit them and hear the answers, or for them to say, I just want to hear from somebody who's successful and happy and insightful. I want to hear what they have to say about how they got to where they are today, and I want to look to apply some of their guiding principles to my life. So this is all different sorts of values that the mentorship program can offer to students. So with that said, if any of you guys are interested in either participating as a student or if you know somebody who might be a great mentor, or any of the adults in the room if you're considering mentoring, definitely reach out to any of us within Strive, but especially you can reach out to me. I'd love to meet with you guys while we're here, talk with you if you have any questions about this, if you're totally set that you want to participate, or even if you just want to ask questions about what it is that we do or where you might fit in. Definitely reach out for me. And then also you can visit our website, striveclubs.org. We have a mentoring tab, and you can check that out for all the info you might want.
Thanks, Sydney. That was awesome. So this fall, we are going to welcome 2 new editors of The Undercurrent. And we're very happy that we successfully made this leadership transition. This was one of the goals that we'd set for ourselves, is the ability to develop new talent within our organization and to transition from generation to generation of students, because of course students graduate. So I would like to introduce to you Thomas Duke and John Glatfelter. And the pictures probably give you a bit of a sense of their personalities as well. So Thomas's particular interest is on the more long-form op-ed style pieces that we've been publishing in The Undercurrent for many years, where we pick a particular topic of interest to students on campus and really dive into the objectivist ideas to apply to that principle. And that's what he's passionate about. John, on the other hand, is a young professional. He's been working for a couple of years. And his passion is writing in all forms. And he's especially interested in writing aspirational pieces that showcase success in the real world. So it can be an interview with a successful businessman, or a profile of someone who's achieved something interesting, or a report on a speaker event on your campus. So anything that sort of celebrates success and celebrates our values, and that's his particular interest in being the editor of The Undercurrent. We're working towards publishing our fall issue of The Undercurrent, which will be out sometime mid-October. We have some pieces ready as of today, but if you want to submit a piece, there's still that opportunity. So you can contact us. The information will be at the end of the presentation, and you can get involved in writing for TU. The Capitalist and Proud initiative is going to continue through the fall. We actually applied for a special grant, and the commitment we've made as a result of that is At the conference, we will be hosting a Capitalist and Proud writing workshop where you'll get to draft your piece, get it edited on the spot, and potentially enter into the contest. We're also printing Capitalist and Proud brochures, which you see featured on the PowerPoint. And not only will we be distributing them on campus as we table, but Turning Point USA, which has 1,000 chapters nationwide, has agreed to distribute our Capitalist and Proud brochures in their materials during tabling in August. So we're going to reach hopefully 1,000 campuses worldwide, or at least nationwide, with the opportunity that this contest presents. I think that's very exciting because we'll get Strive in front of a lot of people, and hopefully the hashtag will take off ahead of the election and provide an alternate voice to what's going on. Another thing that we'll be focusing on this year is, of course, the clubs. And the club training or activities are divided roughly into two areas. One is activism, and the other one is program. So now I'd like to invite Jennifer to speak about the activism portion.
Hi, everyone. My name's Jennifer. I am Strive's VP of Club Operations, and I guess you could say my specialty is student activism. So I've done several trainings on student activism, and that's kind of something where my passions lie. Through Strive, I've been developing sort of best practices and resources on how to best train students to have an effective approach on identifying potential objectivists and bringing them into our Strive circle. So Maggie asked me to speak a little bit about my experience this past year and kind of the benefits I've seen as a student leader on my campus at the University of Arizona. Activism, and particularly campus activism, is a great platform for students to learn how to take objectivist ideas and repackage them in ways that are attractive to other students in our peer group, and which is kind of in line with the objectivist movement 2.0 stuff that we've been hearing at this Strive, because it gives students who are passionate about objectivism a way to identify people with objectivist virtues, but who don't know what objectivism is. And so that's something that it challenges you to do, and I've learned tremendously about kind of how to market these ideas and talk with them to people and kind of bring them into the fold. Another benefit that I've experienced is the ability to build up other people. So Jackson Cassidy in the audience here, give us a wave. Woo! He is a member of my club at the University of Arizona, and since I've met him, he has become increasingly involved in the objectivist movement and in building a more rational culture on our campus. So he and a few other of my club members have been a tremendous payoff for me this past year. So moving forward in Strive this upcoming year, we are going to be continuing supporting campus clubs. The previous wave of campus clubs, there was 8 of them this past spring. They will be moving on to mentor and consult the new generation of clubs, kind of forming their own connections, being accountable for each other, and helping each other find best practices to run a successful club and build on our model. In addition, we will be offering student leadership training here at StriveCon. Mine's on Tuesday, so definitely come. Big incentive, I'll be there. And then we will be running another student leadership training at StriveCon in November, and so we will be continuously doing that. And finally, we will be supporting these clubs by developing new programming, developing new resources like in print and online for how to fundraise and how to communicate on campus, how to recruit, and essentially all things club. So we're definitely we're gonna rock it this year. Thank you,
Jennifer. That was awesome. Another aspect of running a club are the programs, the content that you deliver. And so now I'd like to invite Grant Parker to speak about the program offerings that we have.
Hey guys, I'm Grant. And this last year, I worked as the content development person for Strive. In some of my experiences, the thing that I really gained from being involved with Strive was really just the courage to stay true to myself. At the end of fall semester, I actually opted to drop out of college. It had kind of been on my mind for a while, but I stopped and I looked at why I was there, and I was really only there because I was afraid of what would happen if I didn't get a degree. It was just kind of putting off doing what I'd actually wanted to do. And through, being able to lead and put on events and do things through Strive, I was kind of able to show myself, hey, I'm able to do things. I'm capable of taking this leap. And that was really a huge benefit that Strive has given me. Glad with the decision. So some of the things that we do in terms of club support are trainings on how to run discussions. One of the things that I would always find whenever I would talk with my friends about objectivism is that I had a tendency to, we'd start off talking and then it'd be like, well, let me tell you why you're wrong, and then laundry list of reasons. And, it was very, very effective. I got a solid 0 people interested because of that. And so, yeah, that's one of the things that we want to help students with is how do you lead effective discussions? How do you approach things in a way that students can explore the ideas, kind of pick them up, look at them at their own pace, and make their own decisions. So we're going to have a training, I believe it's Monday, on how to run this discussion. We'll be practicing that with you guys, debriefing, all that stuff. Another thing that we're going to be doing is, in terms of supporting the clubs, something that we did this last spring semester is with all of the club leaders, Jennifer and I had calls with them to kind of walk them through their challenges, help them set goals for the next week or month, help them figure out what they were going to do going forward. And so to anybody who wants to start a club this fall, they can reach out to Jennifer or I, and they can get that same kind of mentoring. And lastly, like Jennifer said, we have the manual. One of the things that we did in there is we included what we call discussion kindling, which is pretty much just the kindling for the discussion. A short little excerpt of a reading to start it off. We've also included in there kind of a summary of what it's about, questions for you to ask, to intro the piece, digest it, and then to wrap it up. Really everything you need to run a discussion right there. So you'll also be getting that in the manual. So yeah.
Thank you, Grant. So the goal of all of this is to make starting a club as easy as possible. In the past, students have had to figure out, how do I register my club? How do I fundraise? How do I do all these things? What am I going to talk about? Make a lesson plan. And all that work would take away from the hard work that you really have to do, which is to table and reach out and talk to students and socialize. Because those are the things we can't do for you. So the idea is to provide these resources that are accessible and easy to use so that you can focus on the areas where your particular impact matters. We're planning another StriveCon this year. It will be taking place from November 4th to 6th in Atlanta, Georgia. And we'll put together a very rich program of speakers and activities for you and mentorship opportunities. So we encourage you all, if you're interested in participating, to sign up at the back of the room. There are sign-up sheets, and just express your interest and keep involved to hear more updates about it. So those are our exciting plans for the next year. Enriched mentorship program, rich writing and Capitalist and Proud writing program, clubs, and the conference. So we will now open it up to questions. If any of you have questions about what Strive is about or how you can get involved, I welcome them, and so do the students.
So yeah, one of the questions I had is, are we having kind of an equal, think about the acronym, so you got reason, individualism, value pursuit, enterprise. Is it sort of like an equal focus on each, 25% on each? Or is it like, or is kind of like, depending on who's in the group, maybe we focus more on one of those characteristics than the other? Because I'm particularly thinking like enterprise. What if I have some people in my group who are very into business, but they don't like Ayn Rand or whatever? Then we could just focus more on the enterprise aspect and also bring other texts in, like startup texts, business books, etc.
Okay. Well, that's a fair question. I mean, I don't know that we would weigh each individual word, right? I don't even know if we use the acronym in its individual parts. It kind of helped us capture what Strive is about, but we don't really use the individual words, right? We use Strive, right?
But what about individual words? I mean, individualism.
So we say that we are inspired by Ayn Rand. Our goal is to use Rand's ideas as a framework or as guideposts in being purposeful individuals. So we would be distinct from just a startup club that talks about business in as much as we would be interested in introducing discussions, for example, like Francisco's speech about money. What is money? What is the value of money? That would be a great discussion to have in your club and to introduce Rand's view. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't introduce other views. If you have other resources and materials that you think are valuable and are worthy of discussion, that's absolutely fair, right? The goal is, I say don't make objectivist foie gras. Don't force feed objectivism into that poor duck until its liver explodes, right? That's not the purpose. My hope of the shift that we can effect is you can go from people having no idea about Rand or bad ideas of Rand to a point where they've read her materials and they understand them and are able to say, this is what Rand said, and that's an accurate representation of what she said. And then they could continue and say, I disagree in this and this and this way, and that's fine. Objectivism is a journey, and not everybody completes the whole journey, and it's not of course, I think personally that it's a good thing, but people stop at different points along the way, and anything is progress, right? So all this to say, we want to introduce objectivism, get people to understand it, and then make up their own minds as and when they're ready to do that. Does that answer your question? Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Hi there. Sorry. I'm going to high school next year, and it's been like a goal of mine to start an objectivist club. And then I was really like, wow, Strive seems like a really great thing. But now listening to, I realize it's more of an activism thing, and I'm wondering if, number one, high school environment is much different than a college environment. And I was wondering if it'd be appropriate, because my goal is to really spread awareness of objectivism in my community and to, maybe try to persuade them, but not force it on them. And I really do also want to become a better leader among my peers. And I was wondering if that was okay.
Well, thank you for your question. That's a fantastic goal to have. I think certainly some of the ideas of Strive can be adapted to a high school context. I should note that when we use the word activism, it's for lack of a better word. I don't see us as activists per se in the same way that you would think of Occupy Wall Street activists picketing with signs, right? When I use the word activism is more, what? When I mean activism, it's more like outreach, right? The skills to put up a sign and to engage with people and to get them interested in the ideas. So outreach might be a better term, but we commonly use activism in student movement, so that's why I use that word. So I don't know what the rules or limitations are in high school. Certainly, I think the Leading Productive Discussions workshop would be very interesting to you, because it sounds like you would like to introduce your classmates to these ideas and to chew through them. So I think you might find that very valuable. And possibly writing for the undercurrent. You could engage yourself and your classmates to producing pieces from your perspective, from a high school perspective, on objectivism and how it's useful for you. And that would be a completely legitimate approach. So I think those two things might be useful to you.
Well, thank you.
Thanks.
Could you go into more specific detail about how we can start participating in Strive and Undercurrent, such as like whether it takes an email list or talking one-on-one with the leaders that are here?
Absolutely.
And also, what specifically are you looking for in recruiting leaders?
Okay, those are very good questions. So what we're looking for in leaders, much the same characteristics as in members. So certainly people who have an interest in being productive and in creating value and in these ideas, in better understanding the ideas that, sorry, I'm just trying to find the right words here. Intellectually curious, and who want to learn and develop themselves and engage with others. So those are generally the characteristics that we want of our members. I think of leaders as the desire to proactively engage with others on your campus, right? So some people are happy being participants in a group like this or in a training and learning for their own benefit. What distinguishes a leader is that you're willing to take that extra step and put yourself out there and have a table and stick up a banner and take that extra risk, if you will, the extra logistical challenge of engaging others, right? So it's having that desire to share with others and take a proactive role that distinguishes a leader from a member. How to get involved. First of all, there's a sign-up sheet at the back. Visit our website, striveclubs.org. We have information about conferences and about mentoring and about the Undercurrent, theundercurrent.org. The best way to get involved with this conference on July 4th, we have Leading Productive Discussions training tomorrow. So just come and participate. Then on the 5th, we have activism training in the evening. And on Thursday, we have writing training for the workshop. So just come and participate in each of those and then follow through, right? Our plan at the end of the conference, those who are interested in starting a club on campus will receive a Strive user manual, a Strive banner like the banner that you've seen in front of the registration office, as well as brochures to table with on campus. So those are the tools that you're going to get. You're going to get priority candidacy for scholarships to StriveCon. And you just go do it. Ultimately, it's yours to take, not ours to give in some ways. So that's what you make of it. Does that?
Yeah.
Savannah.
So short. I started a YAL chapter at my school, Temple, a little less than a year ago, and it kind of took off really fast. Now we have like 25 active members, and we go out and we do a lot of activism. A lot of it is pro free markets because Temple is really feeling the burn, and we're trying to not do that. And I definitely want to work to like start a Strive club at Temple. But I was wondering, I mean, obviously those things kind of take time, but in the meantime, are there opportunities for different clubs to kind of not, I guess, team up with Strive, for lack of a better word, because we do a lot of, like I said, like pro-capitalism activism, and I was just wondering, like, if those things could tie together or if they remain too separate.
Absolutely. So we have something called the Strive Affiliates Program. So you're not a Strive club per se, you don't fly a Strive banner, but maybe you're a YAL club or an SFL club or some other club, a Federalist Society club that has an interest in objectivism, and you're interested in being kept up to date about the conference and the opportunities with that, or you want to have some of your members write a piece for the Undercurrent. So you just want to be kept in the loop and participate with some of our resources, so that absolutely is something we can do.
Okay, cool, thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, actually, I'm going to start my master's in San Francisco in September. So
Congratulations.
I'm sure that I'll go through what you said in order to start a campus club. My question is, do you have any geographical constraints? Why I'm asking this is because we have a team of people who are passionate about Ayn Rand ideas, and few of them are serious objectivists back in India. Actually, who are like organizing events and like get-togethers and to discuss about the ideology, but they are not like official Ayn Rand clubs. I'll be going back to India this month, and I'll be staying there till September. So I just wanted to do some sort of event because the college which I have studied, and I have a few more colleges which I have worked with in conducting libertarian programs. I want to do something specifically about Ayn Rand's ideology. I want to introduce them to who Ayn Rand is and what her ideology is. I'm just looking what kind of a support or I can expect from Strive, or can I do it under the name of Strive? Because we have the ability to organize and to pool up the resources needed to conduct an event, and we have some good contact with the colleges so that we can get permissions in colleges. What we are looking for is to connect us with proper speakers who can actually communicate the thoughts of objectivism.
Okay. Thanks for your question. That's a very good question. So I think the Ayn Rand Institute is probably a good resource for speakers. So some people ask me, well, what's the difference between the Ayn Rand Institute and Strive, and what's the relationship? I see the Ayn Rand Institute in a large measure as the custodians of Ayn Rand's philosophy. So they have all her records and all the information, and also the experts on Ayn Rand's philosophy. They have a large team of philosophers who are educated in all aspects of philosophy, and Ayn Rand in particular, and they really have the expertise to teach Rand. I would not say that Strive clubs teach Rand. We facilitate discussions around Rand, right? Which is very different, because as students, we don't have the expertise to officially say, well, this is what Rand said. Most of us are not there yet. There might be exceptions. So I would recommend that you ask A or I for speakers. That being said, if you're interested in the Strive discussion kindling and the Strive manual and the tips on how to run a club, we're happy to share those with you. We're happy to make you Strive affiliates, right? Where you get information about Strive, you have access to Strive resources. However, some of our resources are geographically constrained, right? So some things might not simply be available in India. So does that answer your question? Thanks.
Hi, thanks for the presentation. I found it really interesting. I ran a campus club many years ago, and I would have loved to have had something available like this. So I think what you're doing is really fantastic. My question is, I'm just curious about what your selection criteria are for your mentors and your mentees.
Okay. Well, do you want to speak to that? You can come up to the mic there or here.
I can speak a little bit for what we're looking for in mentees. I think Sarah would speak better for mentors, or maybe do you know some of our criteria? For mentees, we're looking for students who really want to participate in this. So people who are interested in actually committing to having a relationship with their mentor. And I'm sure you guys have seen it before, where students sign up for stuff, or they kind of get their feet wet in it and then they disappear. That's not quite what we're looking for in this. But there's not criteria. It's not like you have to have a certain GPA or be a certain major or anything like that in order to participate. We just want you to want to be there and to have questions to ask or things that you want to gain out of this. The better sense that you can go into this, like if you can go into this with a strong sense of what it is that you want to get out of it, say I want to figure out what my major should be in school, or I'm not sure what kind of jobs I want to look into for after I graduate, or I don't know what classes to take next semester to help me figure out the right path for me. I think those types of students will find these relationships the most rewarding, because they'll know what they're looking for. They'll really have a purpose. But it's not like a criteria in the sense of, we'll reject you if you're not from a certain school or anything like that. We just want people who really want to be there, who know why they want to be there, and who will be active participants. Okay. Does that help?
Yes, but just also more basic requirements, like do they have to be a member of a Strive club?
No, not at all. For the mentor Q&As, anybody can sign up. I mean, we're posting all over Facebook. Anyone who has that registration link, which you can get anywhere that we have it available, anyone, can definitely tune in. I mean, my grandparents have tuned in out of interest, so
awesome.
Anyone. Does that help?
Yeah, that's great. Thanks.
Okay, thanks.
And I can speak a bit to the mentors. Generally, we aim to get objectivists to be mentors. Although objectivism is not front and center in the mentor Q&As, it might be more in the one-on-one mentorship relationship. It comes up more in just how the mentors talk about choosing a purpose and the work they choose to do and how they approach their work. But I wouldn't want anyone to think that the mentor Q&As are us hammering objectivism. It will just be like, well, I chose a purpose at this age, or I was trying, I set a goal for myself. I thought long range, I iterated, right? Just the approach that the mentors take will be inspired by the philosophy, but it's not necessarily explicit. It might be explicit, but the purpose is not to communicate objectivism. It's to communicate value creation and trade.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thanks. Anyone else? I think we're close to time, so I can take one last question. Otherwise, we'll just wrap it up. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for coming. I hope that you're interested and that you'll join us tomorrow. The next event is July 4th, tomorrow at 11:45. We're meeting for lunch. We'll meet in front of Equus Restaurant, and we'll go for lunch, and then we'll embark on the Leading Productive Discussions session. We'll have dinner and then the fireworks. So I hope that all of you will join us tomorrow. Thanks so much.
All material in this program is protected by copyright and may not be reproduced in any form or manner, nor played before a live audience without the express written permission of the producer, the Ayn Rand Institute. For further information or to order other products, please visit estore.aynrand.org or call 1-800-729-6149. For free online courses on Ayn Rand's ideas, go to campus.aynrand.org.